The heat in Phoenix does not just hit you. It swallows you whole. But standing in my own driveway, staring at the front door, the sweat dripping down my back was not from the sun. It was cold. A black SUV I did not recognize was parked where my car should have been. And a man I had never seen before was standing in my doorway, holding a piece of paper that looked terrifyingly official. He was not aggressive. He looked confused. "Can I help you?" he asked, as if I were the intruder. I pointed to the house. "That is my house," I said, my voice shaking. He looked at the paper in his hand, then back at me. "Not anymore," he said quietly. "I closed on this place 10 days ago. I have the deed right here." I froze. He held it up. It was a standard warranty deed. And right at the bottom, next to a notary stamp I did not recognize, was my signature. A signature I had not written. Selling a house I had not listed. While I was 5,000 miles away. My brother did not just borrow my home while I was gone. He sold it. Before I tell you what I did to the man standing in my living room, drop a comment and let me know. What is the one thing your family has done that you can never forgive? I am reading every single one. I did not scream. I did not try to force my way past Mr. Henderson. He was not the enemy. He was just the weapon my brother had used to gut me. He looked relieved when I stepped back, handing me a scrap of paper with an address on it. "They moved your stuff," he said, his voice dropping to an awkward mumble. "Said they put it in storage." I got back into my rental car, the air conditioning blasting but failing to touch the heat rising in my chest. I drove for 20 minutes to the edge of town, past the strip malls and the dust until I reached a row of rusted corrugated metal units. It was not a climate-controlled facility. It was a metal box in the middle of the Arizona desert. When I rolled up the door, the air that hit me was not just hot. It was chemical. It smelled like old paper and dissolving glue. The heat inside must have been 120 degrees. My leather sofa was there, slashed down the side as if it had been dragged across concrete. My television was gone, but the boxes in the corner, that was where they had piled my life. I opened the one marked office. My college diploma, the one I had worked 2 jobs to earn while Derek was partying on my parents' dime, was warped into a U-shape. The glass shattered. But the box underneath it was the one that broke me. It was labeled Grandma. I pulled out the photo album. The plastic sleeves had fused together in the heat. I tried to peel them apart, but the ink came with the plastic. My grandmother's wedding photos, the pictures of my childhood, the only tangible proof that I had ever been a child who was loved. They were just smears of distorted color now. They had not just stolen my future house. They had incinerated my past to save $50 a month on a climate-controlled unit. That was the moment. That was the exact second the daughter in me died. The part of me that wanted to please them, to save them, to be the good girl who kept the peace. It melted right there on that dirty concrete floor. I wiped the sweat from my eyes. I did not call my mom to cry. I did not call Derek to scream. I walked back to the rental car and opened my laptop on the hood. My family knew I worked with numbers. They liked to brag that I was good with money whenever they needed a loan, but they never bothered to ask what my job actually was. They thought I was just a glorified accountant. They forgot that I do not just balance books. I dissect financial corpses. My name is Sabrina, and I am a forensic auditor. I hunt hidden assets for the federal government. I track money through shell companies, offshore accounts, and crypto tumblers for a living. I find the money that cartels and corrupt CEOs try to hide. And my brother, the crypto genius, had just left a paper trail a mile wide. I tethered my phone and logged into the Maricopa County Clerk's database. It took me 3 clicks to find the filing. The power of attorney document. It was dated October 14th. I stared at the signature at the bottom, a perfect forgery of my own hand. October 14th, the day I was presenting a fraud case in a boardroom in Tokyo, 5,000 miles away. I closed the laptop. The sadness was gone, replaced by a cold, rhythmic thrumming in my veins. They thought they were smart. They thought I was just a sister they could bully. They had no idea they had just handed me the weapon that would end them. I sat in the front seat of that rental car, the engine idling just to keep the air conditioning running. And I dialed my mother. I did not know what I expected. Maybe panic, maybe a tearful confession that they had been coerced. I wanted to believe just for a second that my parents were victims, too. Cynthia picked up on the second ring. "You're back?" she asked. Her voice was not warm. It sounded annoyed, like I had shown up to a dinner party an hour early. "I am at the storage unit, Mom," I said, looking at the melted brick of photos on the passenger seat. "My house is sold. My things are destroyed. Tell me you did not know."
She sighed.
It was a long, heavy sigh of performative exhaustion. "Oh, stop it, Sabrina. Stop being so dramatic. Nobody destroyed anything. We moved it." "You sold my house," I repeated, my voice flat. "That is a felony." "It was a family decision," she snapped, the facade dropping instantly. Derek was in a tight spot. He needed liquidity. He has a vision, Sabrina. He is building something real this time. Crypto, logistics. He is going to be a millionaire by Christmas. He just needed seed capital. "Seed capital?" I said, testing the words. "It was my home. I paid for it." "And you have plenty," she yelled. "Look at you. No husband, no kids. You are nearly 30 and you are running around Japan playing detective while your brother is trying to build a legacy. He needed that house more than you did. Men need to build empires. Reina, women, you just need to settle down. Stop being so greedy."
Greedy?
I had sent them checks every month for 5 years. I had paid for their new roof. And now, because I wanted to keep the house I bought, I was greedy. I hung up. I did not say goodbye. I did not scream. I just pressed the button and ended the call. Then I dialed Derek. He answered with a laugh in his voice, background noise clinking like silverware. He was eating. "Sabrina," he boomed. "I heard you were back. Look, do not freak out. I did us a favor. I cashed out at the top of the market. You should be thanking me. You forged my signature." "Derek, I managed our assets," he corrected, his tone shifting from jovial to condescending. "You abandoned us, remember? You ran off to Tokyo to play career woman. You left that big house sitting there empty, wasted. Do you know how insulting that is to have so much and just let it rot while your family struggles?" And there it was. The logic of the leech. In psychology, they call it cognitive dissonance. It is the mental gymnastics a narcissist performs to protect their ego from the truth. Derek could not admit he was a thief. That would make him the bad guy. So he rewrote the narrative. In his mind, my success was not earned.
It was stolen from him.
My savings were not mine. They were a family resource that I was hoarding. He truly believed he was the victim. He believed that by stealing my house, he was just correcting a cosmic injustice. He was Robin Hood stealing from the rich sister to give to the deserving brother. "I did not abandon anyone," I said, my voice ice cold. "I was working to pay for the house you just stole." "You do not need a 4-bedroom house, Sabrina," he shouted, his entitlement flaring up. "You are single. You are never there. I have a fiancé now. I have a future. I invested that money. I put it to work. When the returns come in next month, I will cut you a check for your share. Until then, grow up and stop trying to ruin my moment. Your share." As if he were doing me a favor. "Where is the money, Derek?" I asked. "It is tied up," he said dismissively. "In cold storage."
You would not understand the tech.
"Just wait for the payout. Now I have to go. We are celebrating." The line went dead. I stared at the phone. He was not scared.
He was not sorry. He was celebrating.
He was sitting somewhere eating a meal paid for with the equity of my hard work, laughing at his greedy sister. I looked at the melted photos again. The sadness that had been pressing on my chest evaporated. It was replaced by a clarity so sharp it felt like a scalpel. They were not family. They were parasites. And you do not negotiate with parasites. You do not ask them for an apology. You exterminate them. I wiped the sweat from my forehead with the back of my hand. That was the last physical reaction I allowed myself. I closed my eyes for 3 seconds, inhaled the stale air of the rental car, and flipped the switch in my brain. The sister was gone, the daughter was gone. In their place was the auditor. I did not drive to my parents' house to scream. I did not go to Derek's apartment to bang on the door. I drove to the nearest Starbucks, bought the strongest black coffee they had, and opened my laptop. They thought they were dealing with a heartbroken girl. They forgot they were dealing with a woman who dissects cartels for the Department of Justice. I started with the deed. I pulled the digital copy from the county recorder. The notary stamp belonged to a woman named Sarah Jenkins. I ran her name. 2 prior complaints for improper notarization. Leverage. Then the passport. I scanned my entry stamp into Japan. October 14th. Then, I pulled the flight manifests from my airline loyalty account. I had a digital footprint that placed me on a bullet train to Kyoto at the exact minute my signature was drying on a document in Phoenix. Physics was my first witness. You cannot be in 2 places at once. Next came the money. Derek claimed he had invested it. He claimed it was tied up. I used his old social security number, which I knew by heart because I had co-signed his first car loan, and ran a credit sweep. The results populated the screen in seconds. He had not invested a dime. He had laundered it through stupidity. I saw the transfers. 3 massive chunks of cash moved to a crypto exchange. He thought crypto was anonymous. He forgot that the blockchain is a public ledger and that I have software designed to de-anonymize wallet addresses. I traced the flow. It was not sitting in a cold wallet for the future. It was being drained. Transaction 1, $92,000 to a luxury dealership in Scottsdale. A Ford F-250 Super Duty. The CEO truck. Transaction 2, $28,000 to a jeweler. A 3-carat diamond ring. That explained the fiancé. Transaction 3, $15,000 to a travel agency. First-class tickets to Cabo for 4 people. He was spending my house on a fantasy life. He was buying affection with my equity. I compiled it all. The flight logs, the passport scans, the forensic accounting of the stolen funds, the undeniable proof that the power of attorney was a forgery. I organized it into a single PDF file titled Evidence of Felony Fraud. Derek Riley. I did not print it out at the hotel. I went to a print shop and had it bound. 45 minutes later, I walked into the 4th precinct. I did not wait in the line for noise complaints or fender benders. I walked up to the desk sergeant and laid the binder down. I am not here to file a report, I said, my voice steady. I am here to hand you a closed case for grand larceny, wire fraud, and aggravated identity theft. The total theft is over $800,000. The sergeant looked at me bored until he opened the binder. He saw the passport stamp. He saw the bank tracing. He saw the work of a professional who had done his job for him. He picked up the phone. 10 minutes later, I was sitting in Detective Miller's office. He did not ask me if it was a family misunderstanding. He did not ask if we could work it out. He looked at the evidence, looked at me, and picked up his radio. "We need a judge to sign off on this," Miller said. "But with this paper trail, it will take an hour." I walked out of the station into the blinding Phoenix sun. I held a copy of the paperwork in my hand. It was not just a complaint anymore. It was a missile, and I knew exactly where to launch it. I tracked Derek's location.
It was easy.
His new truck had a GPS system linked to the dealership account I had found in the credit report. And the dealership had a Find My Vehicle feature for owners, or in my case, for the person who knew the social security number of the owner. The dot on the map was glowing in the heart of downtown Scottsdale. The Sapphire Steakhouse. Of course, the Sapphire was the kind of place where they served steaks with gold leaf and charged $50 for a side of asparagus. It was the kind of place you went to be seen to show everyone that you had arrived. And my brother, the man who had stolen my future to pay for his present, was there right now celebrating. I texted Detective Miller the address. "He is at the Sapphire. I am going in. Wait for us." Miller texted back. "I will be inside," I replied. I parked the rental car a block away. The desert heat had finally broken, leaving behind a cool, dry evening. I smoothed down my shirt. I was not wearing a power suit. I was wearing the same travel clothes I had on since Tokyo. Jeans, a blouse, comfortable shoes. I did not need to dress up for this. The truth does not need a tuxedo. I walked into the restaurant. The air conditioning hit me first. A wall of refrigerated air that smelled of expensive perfume and aged beef. The lighting was low, intimate. A piano player was softly murdering a jazz standard in the corner. And there they were. They were at the best table in the house, a large round booth near the center of the room. Derek was at the head holding court. He was wearing a new suit, something flashy and ill-fitting. Next to him was a woman I assumed was the fiancée, blonde.
Pretty.
Laughing at whatever joke he was telling. My parents, Ronald and Cynthia, were beaming. They looked younger, happier than I had seen them in years. They were eating wagyu. I could see the marbled beef on their plates. They were drinking a bottle of wine that probably cost more than my first car. They were eating my house. I walked through the dining room. The sound of my own footsteps seemed deafening in my ears, but no one else noticed. They were too busy with their own lives until I reached the table. I stopped right next to Derek. He did not see me at first. He was too busy pouring wine for the fiancé. To the future, he said, raising his glass. To the future, I said. Derek froze. The wine bottle clinked against the glass. He looked up, his smile faltering, then vanishing completely. Sabrina, he squeaked. My mother's fork hit the plate. You shouldn't be here, she snapped. Wait in the car. I'm not going anywhere. My voice was calm. I came to return something. I put the evidence on the table. Passport stamp, bank transfers, dealership receipt right on top of their stakes. That proves I was in Japan when you sold my house, I said. You forged my signature. You stole the money. Derek's fiancée stared at him. You told me you sold crypto. She's lying, he stammered. I'm the victim of a felony. I said. My father stood. Leave now or be thrown out. Try it. The restaurant went silent. I turned to see Detective Miller and two officers behind me. Derek Riley, you're under arrest for grand larceny, wire fraud, identity theft. Handcuffs snapped shut. Derek stared at me, terrified. Sabrina, I'm your brother. I know. That's why it's a felony. Then my mother detonated. She shrieked, clawed at an officer, hurled accusations at me. Classic Darvo. When that failed, she staged a collapse, gasping about her heart. The crowd turned. A minute ago, I was the wronged party. Suddenly, I was a cold daughter killing her mother. I looked closer. Her breathing was steady. Her color normal. Her hand conveniently blocked the aisle.
She wasn't dying.
She was controlling the room. I stepped over her. She's fine, I told the officer. I paid for her Mayo Clinic cardiac workup last week. Perfect health. This is a tantrum. My mother snapped upright, hissing curses. The room finally saw the truth. Take him, I said. They dragged Derek out while he screamed for her to save him. My mother grabbed me, nails digging into my skin. Fix this. Who will take care of us? Not love, not remorse, dependency. You should have thought of that before you ate my house, I said, and walked out. 48 hours later came the demand letter. My father claimed the $20,000 they gave me for the down payment was an investment and demanded half the equity in exchange for dropping the charges. I called him. You go to court, I said, and you'll be admitting you lied on a federal gift letter. That's mortgage fraud. 30 years, $1 million. Silence. Then he hung up. No lawsuit was filed. Derek stayed in jail because they were too afraid to put assets at risk. They sold the RV and vanished into boring suburbia. I sold the house to the man who tried to buy it illegally. Legally this time, and moved downtown into a high-rise with no garage, no storage, no baggage. Tonight, I stood on my balcony watching the sunset. For the first time, I wasn't a daughter holding a family together by sacrificing myself. I was just Sabrina. The price was high. I'd pay it again. If you've ever chosen freedom over being the good daughter, subscribe. You're safe here.